With the time for man to eventually embark on the journey to Mars drawing closer and closer, we begin to see some of the rigorous training that these astronauts have to carry out. From mental gymnastics mediated by AI technology to underwater training and low oxygen breath holds, keep watching till the end to find out how insane the Martian astronaut training really is. The astronaut cadets undergo difficult and potentially deadly situations resembling those on Mars, while undergoing Martian survival training in the Sahara Desert. These expeditions teach the Martian astronauts how to deal with dust storms, just like they would on Mars, rock climb and rappel, move camp every day, tend to the injured, build traps, and ward off predators. They also teach them how to repurpose equipment and materials, such as turning debris into shelter and a broken down car into a motorcycle. The astronauts also receive navigation training, which includes mapping out the terrain and locating their position using the moon and stars. The astronaut cadets receive their Martian survival training in Italy's caverns as well. While living in the caves, the astronauts learn how to survive in solitude, confinement, and the absence of sunlight, while also losing track of time, just as if they were doing so in the blackness of space. The astronauts refer to the second mind AI software as Shadow, which keeps tabs on certain astronauts. Shadow serves as a performance coach and personal psychologist for astronauts. The artificial intelligence learns about each astronaut individually during training, and it begins to forecast behavior in advance of the onset of a mental shutdown. It may act on behalf of an astronaut and comprehends how each individual makes decisions, especially in times of crisis. In order to follow astronauts, Second Mind uses a variety of techniques, such as CCTV cameras that can detect changes in facial expressions and speech patterns. Journal entries made by astronauts can also be examined by artificial intelligence. The north wind and the sun fable is spoken by the astronauts while they are in a neutral state of mind. To establish a baseline, the passage is then repeated every 3 days by the astronauts. The AI listens for variations in speech rate, intensity, and pause length because any variations could indicate that the astronaut's mental state is changing. To make assessments, Second Mind can also acquire information about a person's eating and sleeping habits. Based on their recent performance and emotional condition, the AI can control an astronaut's interactions with other astronauts, as well as their workload and type of work. There are 2 places of Mars where exploration and colony construction are taking place. A Martian astronaut must be knowledgeable in both fields. All Mars astronauts are scientists, and research is constantly being done there to figure out how to establish a bigger, more resilient colony. Every single astronaut on Mars also works as an engineer because everything needs to be maintained and repaired, including the water supply and fuel stations, as well as the transportation rovers, drilling machines, and scientific investigations. Fresh structures and robotic systems need to be built and installed as new supplies are delivered. An astronaut from Mars must be able to grasp intricate and technical theories, as well as get their hands dirty repairing and building things. The astronauts learn about the social and technological aspects of living in space in artificial intelligence-run schools. The history of Mars is covered in the first lesson, along with how the colony was first built and how the planet was formed. Astronauts are also taught about the red planet's weather patterns and how to spot fossils and other signs of extraterrestrial life. They get knowledge of the Martian colony's culture and even its Creole language. There is a course on Martian law and open space law. Then there are the advanced technical programs, which concentrate on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. These classes include celestial mechanics, robotics, astrobiology, and space flight engineering. Astronauts do simulations in the atriums for virtual reality. The virtual reality headsets use biofeedback to track each astronaut's brainwaves, while cameras record their facial reactions. The information is provided to an artificial intelligence, or AI, that may modify the stress and difficulty of the simulation scenarios in real time, based on the astronaut's performance. Simulations can be used to practice skills like operating robotic cranes, solar panel cleaners, and rovers, as well as emergency readiness drills like depressurizing a spacecraft. Outside of the classroom, astronauts are trained to fly fighter jets and work as medical technicians. Hospital professionals and an AI doctor are on board with every Martian crew, and both the lunar base and the Martian colony include medical bays with robotic surgeons. All astronauts need to be trained as emergency medical technicians in case there are no medical specialists nearby, such as when performing a routine EVA outside of the base on Mars. The medical specialists also work as scientists, performing experiments on the astronauts, conducting medicine, radiation analysis, and work with the Martian botanist for nutrition research. Stitching wounds, delivering injections, and extracting blood are all practice skills. The astronauts go through a hospital program as well, working shifts at various wards to become acquainted to the body and learn skills, like how to help a severely injured patient and to reinflate a collapsed lung. While in space, the astronauts employ these medical abilities on a daily basis to monitor their own vital signs, including daily morning blood tests, blood pressure checks, and inner ear assessments. Second Mind, an artificial intelligence that keeps track of all this data, notifies the astronaut when something changes. Then there is the skill of being a pilot. When astronauts train to pilot a supersonic fighter aircraft, they not only get knowledge of thrust and velocity physics, but also get a taste of the physical strain and G-forces involved in flight. All astronauts must be skilled helicopter pilots due to the vertical landings and takeoffs at the lunar base and Martian colony, which are part of the pilot training that involves learning to fly commercial airliners as well as drones similar to those used on Mars. The Martian Colony Station, which has full-scale replicas of the key buildings at the Martian colony, is located in the arid snow plains of Antarctica. From the residences and biodomes to the fuel production facilities. Alongside the astronauts, robotics are tested in this environment. When leaving the base, the astronauts train for the chilly conditions on Mars while donning their EVA spacesuits. In addition, they endure power outages, snowstorms, communication breakdowns, and winter darkness without any forced evacuations during these months. The astronauts also begin preparing for the specific missions that have been allocated to them for when they land on Mars, such as missions for exploration, biosphere extension, and fuel plant upgrades. On Earth, underwater, life is being prepared for weightlessness in space. Flying to Mars takes 4 to 6 months. While carrying out tests and getting ready for activities to be done on the surface of Mars, the Martian astronauts must also maintain and repair the interior and exterior of their spaceship. The weightlessness of space is where all of this is taking place. On the planet Earth, astronauts receive training in expansive swimming pools, equipped with a scale model of the spacecraft. They learn how to keep an eye on their life support. They practice moving from one area to another while avoiding sharp objects and wires. They do things like manually roll out solar panels and fix heat shields. They practice keeping watch of their tether as well so they don't drift off. The astronauts' scuba training also makes them aware of the significance of each breath, just as they would in space. The International Space Partners constructed the Orbiting Mars Training Space Station, or MTSS, to prepare astronauts for the lengthy trip to Mars. The Martian astronauts train on the MTSS for 7 months. The space station is modeled after a Mars spaceship transporter that takes astronauts there. The MTSS and the Starships both have open spaces, unlike the actual International Space Station. The onboard crew suits have built-in micro canisters that are replenished daily to prevent the astronauts from becoming caught floating in the open spaces. These serve as miniature thrusters and life preservers for space habitation. The main working areas are a number of science labs, which are arranged around the station. All astronauts work on science experiments during their time in space. There is even a science platform on the outside of the space station to perform experiments in the vacuum of space and to collect micro-meteorite samples. There are 2 types of libraries on board the MTSS, one for work and one for leisure. The work library houses all the documents, manuals for space systems, and research papers, all of which can be downloaded to an astronaut's personal computer terminal. There are also chambers where the astronauts can go and study and work privately. The astronauts spend most of their free time in the leisure library. Here, the astronauts can download such things as books, TV shows, documentaries, music, and online classes. There are small rooms where a group of astronauts can watch a movie together or play card games. Other activities, which the astronauts enjoy doing in their free time, include sending messages to Earth, journaling, and spending time in the virtual reality atriums. On board, there are a number of work and leisure-based virtual reality theaters. The work and training VR halls are used to train the Martian astronauts in new skills, give refresher classes and simulations, and perform weekly emergency preparedness drills. In the leisure virtual reality halls, the astronauts can have immersive experiences playing video games. They are also able to simulate realistic environments of nature. The astronauts are trained to get used to living in the virtual world, as it helps with their well-being during the transfer when they are flying further away from Earth, and also later when they are living on the lifeless planet of Mars. Astronauts can lose up to 2% of bone and muscle mass after just a month living in weightlessness. Even the lower gravities of the Moon and Mars weaken the astronauts' bodies. There is a mandatory 2.5 hours of exercise each workday. Saturday is a half day, and Sundays are off. The astronauts get 2 hours of personal free time before bed. Another reason for all of the exercise is cognitive performance. Astronauts perform tasks with fewer mistakes after doing a period of exercise. Ground control and AI second mind test the astronauts every 2 weeks using puzzles to see if there are any changes to their cognitive performances. Exercising also acts as a mental break from all the heavy mental work the astronauts are performing during the day. The rockets to Mars launch from the US and Russia. As a result, the astronauts, as they've always had to, need to learn both English and Russian. At a technical level, being able to read procedures checklist manuals and communicate back to the mission controls in Russia and the US. The diversity of knowledge from each country and the different ways of doing things proves useful in the challenging environment of space. The diversity has created a new space language, a space Creole, originating from the mixture of Russian and English. Certain words from both languages have been combined to describe the alien elements of living in space, in weightlessness, and living on the red planet. The combination of cultures on Mars has also resulted in a collective space culture. For some, it is a tradition to be silent at mealtimes, and talking is saved for after while drinking tea. For others, mealtime is for getting together and talking. The mixing of the Earthian cultures is birthing new traditions, and a new space culture is emerging at the Martian colony.